I was very wrong about characters in Honkai Stair Rail. Look how naive I was, thinking I wouldn't end up trying to get every character in the game. No, but seriously, there are a bunch of characters in this game that I never expected to like, but I ended up using them and found myself really enjoying how they played. Definitely a big part of that is how the game systems encourage you to try out different characters, a video topic for another day, but it's straight up just really fun to learn how different kits work and apply what you learn to be more successful in battle without just upgrading your stats. The newest and second ever limited 5-star character to be released, Jing Yuan, was not someone I was initially looking forward to pulling when I heard he'd be next, but as a new DPS, he has a really interesting design that gives us a little bit of insight into the character design philosophy and what we can expect to see from future releases. Also, this video is sponsored, so thank you Hoyoverse. If you haven't yet downloaded the game, feel free to use the link in the description. One of the major praises I've seen of Stair Rail so far is the sheer usefulness of the majority of the roster. The nature of having to use different elements for weakness breaks clearly encourages you to use a variety of characters, but having so many useful options given to you up front has made the game quite free-to-play friendly. Will that continue to be true as time passes? Well, it's hard to say because future 5-star releases are almost guaranteed to be stronger. Jing Yuan represents this perfectly, as it's very clear that his damage ceiling is crazy, but it's also apparent that he has some defined weaknesses that are inherent to his design. Let's break down his abilities real quick. Jing Yuan's typing is not unique as another Erudition Lightning DPS focusing on spread damage, but his completely unique game plan revolves around his summon, the Lightning Lord, which is its own entity on the turn rotation. It starts off with 60 base speed and 3 hits per action, and the damage dealt is considered follow-up attacks for any Path of Elation simulated universe enjoyers. Each hit randomly hits one enemy on the field and does partial damage to adjacent enemies. You can reach up to 10 hits, with each one increasing the Lightning Lord's speed by 10, and both values reset after the attack is performed. The attack will not trigger when Jing Yuan is dead or affected by an immobility debuff like freeze or imprisonment. You can increase the stacks by using Jing Yuan's other abilities. His skill does spread damage to all enemies and gives 2 stacks, his ultimate does spread damage to all enemies and gives 3 stacks, and his technique also gives 3 at the start of a battle. Let's start off with his strengths. Jing Yuan does huge electric damage and excels at clearing waves of enemies thanks to him hitting all enemies on even his skill, the only character capable of doing so besides Herta. His unlockable bonus abilities give him built-in crit damage, per battle energy regeneration, and built-in crit rate. You can somewhat get by with low investment on his traces since going all in on his Lightning Lord talent works decently well, and building him is extremely straightforward since he's a DPS and wants attack and crit stats, and he doesn't really focus on basic attacks or break, so the Lightning Relic set is easily his best. As for his weaknesses, I had some trouble being able to put my thoughts into words, so here's a visual which maps out all the current playable characters that fall under the DPS paths: Hunt, Erudition, and Destruction. Please don't look too deep into this because I just threw it together to illustrate a point and I haven't even properly used all of these characters yet, but what I'm trying to get at is that besides the obvious of some of these characters having better single target potential and some having area of effect damage, the main thing design wise that sets DPS characters apart is the amount of control you have when using them and how taxing they are on your skill point economy. For example, in the top right extreme we have Scylla, who wants to always be spending skill points to maintain her speed buff, and will often consume extra due to her bonus turns on enemy takedowns. She has high control because her gameplay is very predictable, not relying on any RNG, and the only reason she's not farther right is because she maximizes her value when there's more enemies to take down, which is slightly conditional. On the other hand, we have Qingque, who for the record is my favorite character because she's so different from all the other DPSs. Of course, she has the lowest control because whether or not you match 4-of-a-kind tiles to empower her basic attack is ultimately all up to luck. But despite her being the only character capable of eating all 5 of your skill points in one turn, she gets the most value out of any character in doing just basic attacks since she draws a new tile every ally turn and can build up to those big hits without technically needing to spend any skill points. So the reason I even brought this all up in the first place is because Jing Yuan's issues are pretty unique to him. Unlike the other low control characters, which are generally evaluated to be pretty low tier in large part because of their low control, Jing Yuan doesn't badly need certain conditions to be met to do well. Himeko needs lots of enemies with the right weaknesses to rack up weakness breaks and do her follow-up attacks. Herda needs lots of weaker enemies so that she can do her follow-up attack when they fall below half health, and Arlon wants to be lower health but not so low that he's at risk of dying. Jing Yuan's lightning lord damage being spread out randomly definitely plays a part here, but I attribute his low control being more of him not being able to reliably weakness break bigger enemies, giving up the control of being able to delay enemy actions. To begin with, his skill, while having the benefit of being able to hit all 5 enemies at once, has low weakness break efficiency, and while the lightning lord speed can be influenced by increasing it with stacks, it does not give you the same level of control as other characters, as a lot of times you'll end up getting hit before it activates, and you better hope that attack doesn't stun you and cancel the whole thing. Jing Yuan's other main weakness is his extraordinarily high skill point reliance. He is the only character in the game, as far as I know, that actively loses out when using his basic attack, as that's the only way to not build stacks on his lightning lord other than it already being maxed out. This makes him especially pair poorly with other skill point hungry hunt characters, who right now are very valuable in the game's hard content because of the prevalence of singular boss enemies with massive health pools. Characters like Jing Yuan and Himeko clearly have particular use cases where they can shine in, but those just aren't nearly prevalent enough in the game's current lineup of challenging content. His kit takes a super unique idea and executes it quite well, but the downsides within the design do ground him quite a bit. I could see his usefulness skyrocketing with content featuring more waves of more enemies, but until then I wouldn't recommend pulling for him unless you really like his character or already know you will enjoy his gameplay. I do have to give credit where credit is due though. His kit is objectively well designed, especially in how different he functions as a DPS. At the end of the day, all of them serve to dish out damage to enemies, and he does it in a way that isn't just a mashup of abilities other characters already have. His functionality lends itself to particularly strong synergy with speed supports and energy supports, as they give him more opportunities to build up stacks on his lightning lord. I imagine we will see more of these in the future when we get more Harmony characters, especially if we get one that's made to support follow-up attack damage the way Sampo supports damage over time abilities. As mentioned before, you'll also probably want to pair him with someone who can consistently generate those skill points for the team regardless. Sometimes uniqueness can backfire with the limited amount of light cones currently in the game, but Jing Yuan's options aren't too bad. Of course, his signature Before Dawn is insanely good for him, but the Birth of Self is another option that boosts follow-up attack damage. The Battle Pass Light Cone, Today is Another Peaceful Day, gives him 26% bonus damage at Super Imposition 1 thanks to his high 130 cost ultimate. Genius's Repose and the Seriousness of Breakfast are just generally decent. Night on the Milky Way isn't amazing as a whole, but does give 5-star stats, and Make the World Clamor is the only one I'd probably stay away from considering the low power budget of his ultimate within his entire overall kit. So while Jing Yuan admittedly isn't my favorite character to use because of how he demands you play around him, I can very much appreciate what he brings to the table. Unique gameplay with great strengths and identifiable weaknesses. There's clear room for him to get indirectly buffed by other support characters, maybe a shift in challenge modes or even a different Memory of Chaos modifier that specifically benefits AoEs, perhaps a new relic set, but nonetheless, Jing Yuan is a nice addition to the roster, and I look forward to seeing it continue to get fleshed out in the coming updates. I also feel a bit more relieved now about building my current characters because they aren't as replaceable as I thought they might have been. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this guide/analysis, and as always, thanks for watching.